All right, so this is a part two, going back into the moon, its relationship, and what makes white people unique and special. Through my research, after I was just talking about building kingdoms the fastest, because they have that speed advantage. Um, you know, um, I also didn't go back into bad moons. So, like, say the moon has no enemies according to spiritual law, so no one's attacking it, right? But when a moon is bad, it's really bad. They can become the worst of the worst of the worst of evils. A bad moon can, a malefic moon. In this case, the moon is positive when it's waxing. It's at its strongest when it's full, right? And it's negative when it's waning. So if a person has a waning moon, that means they have a negative moon. So half the white people, because the moon moves in what we call it cycles, right? Got four main cycles that it's in, and some break it down to eight main cycles, but that's irrelevant. I'm just saying that's the astronomical side of it. The psychological side of it means half the time, or excuse me, most of the time, the moon is 50-50. So you got white people that are right in the middle, right? And then a little bit of the time, you got white people that are like the best emotionally supporting and loving and protective people on earth. Protective of the earth, protective of your emotions, protective of your family. They want a family man to be a family man. Remember, the white picket fence and that lifestyle of the American dream was created by white men. And it was created by those healthy side of white men. Because we had the gold standard then. Things were different. So in their vision, that's the life that they wanted for everybody in America, right? We can't fault them for that. So, but when the moon is bad, it's destructive as hell. So, I mean, you get people like Hitler in office, and, the good people in every race, whether we're talking about whites now, but the good people in every race, there's a balance, right? You got good, you got bad, and you got in-betweens. And the good can recruit the in-between, and the bad can also recruit the in-between. It just so happens that in this world, again, we're moving on to another function of the moon, and that's finance. And see, with finance, wealth yogas are seen from the moon. Whenever you have a client and you want to see how wealthy they can be, their capacity for wealth, you always check the moon. So the moon has a strength with managing finances and growing finances, which will give white people a higher capacity to manage money and to grow money, right? You might have seen in my previous video where I was speaking about the Jews. They're fantastic with managing and growing money. You can't ever take that away from a Jewish man. How dare you say something negative about a Jewish man when it comes to money and finance? Emotions and family and shit. On average, they're top dog when it comes to managing and growing wealth. British too. I've noticed a lot of British, a lot of scholars, at least I've noticed in the trading, financial trading world, a lot of British men, savage, top dog. They talk that money, that finance game, some sharks out there. But America, we have our own too. We have some very wealthy Caucasian men from the IT world, of course, and also other businessmen, business extraordinaires and stuff that can grow and manage money better than any race of people on earth because it's organic in their blood to do so, right? So, but again, law of polarity. If the moon is bad, they might fuck the bag up. Let's just keep it real. Not every white guy is going to have the capacity to manage the same amount of money as the next white guy. However, you'd be surprised if there was some way to do a literacy test of finances on the blood. Just say you could withdraw the blood and then do a test on the blood itself and say, hey, show me how high the literacy of finance is in this bloodline. I would put money that if you put white bloodlines up all next to Asian, next to Hispanic, next to Arab, next to all the rest of the world, they're going to have the highest capacity. Their blood is going to have the highest strength to manage and grow wealth. You know, we have a divisional chart in Vedic astrology where it's all about the moon and the moon's yogas and how you can grow. What's your capacity for wealth in this lifetime? That's not my strength. That's not the thing I like to look into, but it can be done. And I know how to do it. Moving on from there, I wanted to say that the moon is also rules the feminine psyche, which is why I mentioned emotions, because the feminine psyche is what rules, your emotions, how you feel and how you react to your feelings, which would mean that white women, this is coming from my perspective now, if the moon, it's already established as a planet to rule white people, that means that white women have the advantage over all females on earth as being the most feminine or the most fucked up. So every other woman on earth is always going to follow the white woman's lead when it comes to femininity, because the moon is the only energy in the entire universe that's completely feminine, right? It's the only one. The only energy in the universe that's entirely masculine is the sun, but the moon is the only energy that's entirely feminine, right? So if that moon also rules, those rays rules white people, and then if you're a woman within that race, your feminine psyche organically will be higher than any other race of women. And that makes sense too, because like when I used to go to Planet Fitness, I go to the gym, I'd be in there working out, I go to the hood, and sometimes, in Toledo, Detroit, you see some sisters in there, but man, you see white women working their asses off in the gym, taking care of their bodies, protecting their health, protecting their emotions, being in their 60s or 70s out there fucking running at a pace faster than I can in my prime. No bullshit. I've seen white women older than me that would outrun me on my best day on them damn treadmills. And I'm not a runner anyway. I'm very heavy. You know what I'm saying? I could lift some steel. They probably couldn't fuck with me on that. But when it come to running, oh shit, I would never catch her. And I'm like, damn, that's some serious commitment to your femininity. You're watching your figure. You're sacrificing what you eat. You're watching this thing come in. You're adapting to this environment. You're adapting to this. Like a lot of the good shit that we have, like when in America, how you go to these upscale grocery stores, the organic sections, what was it? No gluten, no this, no that. All that's been discovered by white people. I give them their credit. They discovered a lot of that shit because they said, shit, our bodies couldn't fucking process it. And white people in general have the most unique digestive or processor system out of anything. And when I say processing, I mean watching video, whatever it is. If it's something extreme or mild, suitable for children or not, white people have a very unique processing system that's better than anyone else's, because it starts off with the moon giving them the highest ability to adapt to whatever they process. So one thing that the moon rules, it rules milk and dairy. And Caucasian people, this is scientifically proven, on average, their bodies produce lactase. It produces lactase beyond infancy and throughout the entire lives, which gives them the ability to digest the sugar, lactose, that's in milk. Whereas in me, you see a lot of people who are not Caucasian are lactose intolerant. That means they can't process that sugar that's in the milk. But white people can, right? More, on average, more so than any other race. Pasteurized, non-pasteurized, their digestive systems are very unique that way. And the moon gives them that ability to say, hey, listen, you can take the best out of whatever's available, but always sway 3 to 4 years to find out, okay, what's my next available option? Squeeze as much juice as you can out of that lemon, then move on to the next fruit. That's a gift of a white person, and that's why their thoughts and their thinking patterns have allowed them to move on and evolve so quickly over the last 500 years. They've dominated the world over the last 500 years. We're almost at that 10-minute mark again. So The only thing else I had really left to say was a few things about music. In Germany, he gives the musical intelligence to the moon. So the moon is responsible for musical intelligence. Again, which is why you see a lot of men who are very musically talented. They're feminine. They have a female. There's some. You look at rock stars, Michael Jackson, some of these rappers nowadays. They tiptoe that line of femininity, or they go real feminine, like Prince. And they're very successful because the moon is what's causing that. Remember, the moon is feminine, right? People put blonde hair, blue-eyed contacts in, and they're not even Caucasian, and they associate that with being more feminine because the moon is what rules those genetics. It's crazy. It also rules, Germany also rules history, documenting, and 2 different writing yogas, which gives white people the ability to document better than any other race of people, be a historian better than any other race of people, on average, of course, be interested in history too, more so than any other race of people, written, of course, because it's all about documenting, writing things down, creating contracts. And so those things I could go deep into, but I don't want to make the video too long. But one thing that could be conspiracy theory on my part is China, they launched the moon, an artificial moon. And then they started, I want to say they launched 2 moons. And they're mimicking the moons and its effects. So my thing is, a child's belief system matures between the ages of 15 and 16. So I'm not sure. I don't know the exact year. I don't want to say it was 2020. It was recent, fairly recent, where they launched these moons. But what I think they're trying to do is for all the children born in China, after they launch those moons, who are affected by those artificial rays coming from those moons, I think they're trying to make their own version of white Chinese people in order to get that advantage to dominate the world the way the Caucasians have been given the right by God. And it offends me in a way. I'm very suspicious of why Chinese have decided to launch those moons. We'll only know when those children that are born after that moon has been launched, what sort of effect it has on their race of people, and if they start getting a speed advantage. And we'll know if they get a speed advantage because, again, remember the activities of the moon. They'll start being involved in the things that are organic to white people. Remember everything that I mentioned. Just something to think about. But it's knowledge itself. If y'all found something useful, out of this video, I hope you did. I did a lot of research. Also, I do a lot of observational research. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Send a cash app. All right, y'all take it easy. Thank you.